response video to Anekantavad. There, I said his name right. I do that every now and then. The Price of Determinism. I just love the title so much. This has got to be fun, right? This has to be fun. The price of having no fairy godmothers. Yeah. Prince Charming will never find me. Yeah, right. And instead he'll marry some other certainly deserving young woman. Oh, it really is funny. Anyway, this ought to be good, right? Can't be not good. This has to be pretty fucking funny.
Fly to a foreign country that strikes you as the epitome of exotic or alien, whatever that country might be. Preferably a country where you can't speak the language or read the alphabet.
Ew.
Go about as far from
Oh, sorry. I hit the button and it didn't turn off.
the beaten path as is humanly possible. Preferably, if possible, leave civilization, quote unquote, altogether.
Well, why couldn't you do that just in the beginning? Why couldn't you just say leave civilization altogether? It would have saved me 25 seconds.
Head off into the middle of a desert somewhere or a jungle.
All right.
There's still enough people around that you have contact with human beings. You're not hopelessly lost, but you've kind of lost your bearings.
Oh, God. I think this is going to be horribly not fun.
As you arrive in the middle of nowhere that you're searching for,
All right.
take out a match, torch your return plane ticket, your passport, all of your money, and all documents.
Yeah, right. Just for the fun of it, right? Yeah, okay. So now you're going to have an adventure. You know, trying to get home with no money and belongings. But yeah, no, the idea is, you know, in theory, you know, yeah, why don't I do that right here? Why do I have to go somewhere to do it, right? Why don't I just strip down, walk out down the road butt naked and just see what the fuck happens? Yeah, we know what's going to happen. Jailhouse Rock.
How do you feel when the sun starts to go down? Now,
Well, I guess it depends. You said desert, right? I mean, deserts don't scare me too much. I mean, they really don't. I mean, the worst is going to get you some big old snake, and you're going to be able to find those. I mean, you know, just climb on a rock or something. It's going to get cold, though. Well, I guess I'd still rather be cold than in a woods full of, you know, like the tropical thing where they just fall on you and stuff. Ew.
the thing about determinism is...
Now we're going to get on the subject. Cool. Is you won't have a fairy godmother or Jiminy Cricket to get you out of trouble when you're alone in the desert. Yeah.
That it strikes me as an attempt to make sense out of the universe and make everything fit.
No,
There are certain
no. This is just such garbage. You know, people have philosophical conversations and they attempt to describe reality, and then they say, well, here we go, let's play the game. Okay, how does it work? And then they say, well, look, somebody has this fairy godmother theory. Well, that's no good. And then God, come on, are you fucking, what, are you a fucking idiot? So what are we stuck with? Oh yeah, cause and effect. You know, that sounds pretty good, really. I don't have much of an argument against that when it does seem like it's all pretty predictable. You wind them up, and the quacky toy quacks, and the barky toy barks. So yeah, it seems pretty consistent with how they're made, and like that's the cause that's built into the construction, and it's like, you know, there's nothing transformering or morphing or, you know, doing that, what do you call that, with the Indians and they change into a wolf thing. Well, yeah, none of that shit's happening. So yeah, seems pretty cause and effect.
Incapable of addressing, such as, what is the ultimate nature of the laws of physics?
What is the ultimate nature of the laws of physics? So, right, what is the nature of nature? That's what you just said, right? What is the ultimate law of the law of nature? What? I mean, isn't that what you just said? So again, now, so you're back to this deconstruction. We've already conceded the point that we haven't got the magnifying glass strong enough, or the telescope strong enough, or the time machine functional enough to answer some questions. We can't do it, okay? We don't have a videotape, and it didn't leave any real evidence behind, and so we can't know some things. Damn, I'd like to say I can. Here's your answer. You know, how many parameciums, sat on, whatever, Joe Cactus, in -6, well, no, I mean, you don't have to say minus, right? In 9 million BC. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to know, but I just don't know.
What happened before the Big Bang? What is matter? How do we reduce matter further, and how do we reduce...
Well, we already know that one, so that one's really dumb, right? I mean, really, no. Matter's not matter. Matter's just an arrangement of energy. Okay, so that one we have an answer for. We got that one. Got that one covered. Yeah, what we do know is the mechanical things get simpler and simpler and simpler.
Results from that, reduction further, etc. What do we do about the infinite regressions that may be implicit in absolutely everything?
Well, see, you're confusing regressions with absence of information, and I just don't think that's fair. Obviously, everything has the same source, okay? So it's like every human, we're like incredibly different. I'm like smart, you're dumb. I like smell good, you smell shitty. I like not a big flapping anus on the internet, and you are. But we're both came from exactly the same shit, a million years ago. We had this common ancestor, maybe as little as, it could be even possibly 500 years ago. Could be 1,000 years ago. We had a common ancestor. I mean, that could be the truth, butthead. Everything in existence has the same lineage. Alright? Not just the humans. All the matter has the same lineage. That's the point here. It's all evolution of matter. Evolution of ideas. Everything comes through the process of being evolved, of being constructed through the swirl of circumstances. And those things, that complexity comes out of an origin that's simple. That's the truth of it. You learn simple, you do simple 2 plus 2 first. Then you do complex things like, 2 plus 2 divided by 6, squared. But you start off, and there's a process of 2 complexity. Alright? But it's all branches of a kind of evolution. So we're all stuck with the same, oh yeah, we haven't resolved that truth yet. So we're stuck with a dead spot. It's not an infinite regression. It's a dead spot in our knowledge. Not the same thing.
I think as a society, or as a civilization, we've opted to ignore these things. To say, well, we can't really go out into that territory because we have absolutely no bearings.
Well, it's not the bearings. You can't go out into that territory because the territory is inaccessible. All right? I mean, you can't see what you can't see. You can't see it. All right? You can only resolve it based on some kind of deductions based on the shadow left behind, kind of a thing. But the point is we do have enough evidence to know what isn't there. So we can say what isn't there, and fairy godmothers aren't there. God does not live there.
We'd feel exactly the same way as that person who deliberately put himself in a small village in northwestern India, or in among, say, itinerant tradesmen in Mongolia, or something like that. Just put himself in a deliberately alien situation where he has no way of relating to the situation or getting out of it. We deliberately blinker ourselves. Now, I understand that.
So again, you're calling it a deliberate blinkering of ourselves because we recognize that it's probably preposterously irrelevant. There's nothing going to be there that's going to really be a surprise. It's going to be just deduced into some sort of mechanical process because we're not as surprisable. We know basically how it's going to go. And if you do this thing to yourself, if somebody did your actual experiment, they're not going to be hugely surprised if they're all informed. You know, right? It's going to get cold at night, and certain things are going to happen, and they don't have any matches, and they don't have, and it's going to rain or something else. They're not going to say, "Oh, that's just totally weird."
In order for us to do anything in this world, we kind of have to do that. We have to assume that there are some bearings to everything that we're doing, and.
Yeah, well, whatever. We've already done all that, though. See, again, you're the one saying that we have to somehow we have to know where the bearings were manufactured, right? You're the one saying that no, you can't even have bearings. You can't have anything unless you somehow have the thing we can't have, which is information that doesn't leave a trail behind that we can follow.
I'm not against, in spite of what some people might think, adopting a deterministic point of view to make sense of the universe.
You just don't need
Having
to do
said
that. You don't do it to make sense of the universe. I mean, what does that even imply? Oh, it's just you're doing it out of convenience and taking a shortcut or some. You're just implying something like that. No, it's a perfectly rational deduction. And it's perfectly reasonable to understand that, yes, there's not going to be some truth, okay? There's going to just be a man behind the curtain. There is no Oz here, okay? I mean, what did Oz make the man behind the curtain? Is that going to be kind of the argument? Oz made the man behind the curtain pretending to be Oz? I don't think so.
Let's not mistake a model that we've constructed to avoid a sense of complete paralytic confusion in the entire universe for reality itself. There's nothing wrong with believing that 2 + 2 always equals 4, or at least practically believing that. But if you...
Well, what? There's nothing wrong with being reasonable. Oh, how generous. Thank you. Thank you.
Sort of assume that that's the gospel truth, as it were.
Well, whatever. There's no that assumption isn't going to get in any trouble either. There's no trouble to be had, okay? There just isn't. Closing this book, there's just no way you can lose.
You're just as blinkered as the most fanatical theist, in my opinion.
Theist, theist. I love it. I just love it. Thank you. I never heard it pronounced that way. Okay, theist.
Because the theist has simply gone...
He did it twice. Holy fucking shit. What the fuck is this? Like, is that a boot? Is that a Canadian thing? Theist? Who the fuck says theist? Who the fuck on earth says theist? Wait, I've never heard it pronounced that way, and I've heard the word theist pronounced a lot. And never, in like 1 million pronunciations of theist have I ever heard theist.
The same kind of worldview as you have, but it's just his points of reference.
Well, whatever. Points of reference, like you can just make those up any way you want to. So again, this is, like I said, logic points to a truth. And the standard for conviction, okay, is reasonable doubt or beyond reasonable contention is my, perversion on that. So if somebody can't make a reasonable counter theory and say, look, this theory sounds just as good, yeah, then this one wins. That's it. If there's a void, if there's crickets, you know what I mean? If you say, well, what's an alternative theory? And all you hear is crickets. Yeah, well, that means this one wins. Unless somebody can come up with something, some kind of something that's even minimally plausible. And what's your minimally plausible explanation for our origins? The origins of the entire universe. What? Something intelligent made it? That doesn't make any sense. Nothing intelligent does something to something and then walks away. Nothing intelligent does something for no good reason. There's no good reason here. There's obviously nothing going to happen here. I mean, at best, a freaking little clown, plastic clown head is going to pop out of the box and go boing, 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 boing. And why would an intelligence be cranking a jack in the box? Yeah, they wouldn't be doing that.
They're different. Whether or not we like it, there are limits to what we know.
I mean, it really just doesn't matter. I mean, really doesn't. Once you go into the realm of crazy forces, there's no difference between crazy forces and ignorant forces. I mean, it almost doesn't matter. Whether somebody's crazy and they run you over, or they're stupid and they run you over. The point is, you're not going to get run over by intelligence.
We can simply refuse to put ourselves in a situation where we have to deal with that uncertainty.
Yeah, uncertainty. Pursing up the lips. Got you with that one. Explain to me how do you see me running from this horrid, scary, spookity ookity of go ahead, throw some kind of made up bullshit at me. Give me some sort of silly, fucktarded story. Alright, I'm all ears. Let me hear what you think, okay, initiated the movement of the energy through space that is now consolidating. And I'm not even, like I said, we can't even say for sure that the Big Bang thing, I mean, that's what sort of points to that direction, but there's a lot of problems here, that I think still need to be worked out on the physics of the universe. I mean, really, the whole galaxy thing, there's stuff going on out there that you got to explain. But anyway, well, I guess I have to, because apparently nobody else is competent. So I'll get to it. It's on my list. Fuck. Anyway, I mean, really, what? Give me your counter theory. Let's hear it.
Or we can allow for the fact that there is all that uncertainty out there, and make sure that we bear it in mind whenever we draw any sweeping.
So you're calling ignorance uncertainty. Okay. And you're calling ignorance about stuff that I think we can obviously know doesn't matter. Like, I have uncertainty about how thick the paint is on that truck out there. I'm not certain. How many nanometers thick the paint is. Because I haven't counted them, I'm uncertain how many logs there are that build the outside of that house. I'm uncertain about how many blades of grass are in one frame of my window here that I could view. I'm uncertain about how many blades of grass there are. How are any of those uncertainties problematic? Oh, that's right, they're not. And the uncertainty about our exact origin, what mechanical process, what physics, what atomic bingle-bangle that initiates the universe. Why should my uncertainty about that bother me? I have uncertainty about the exact process of abiogenesis, but I'm certainly certain of how it happened. That's what happened here.
Conclusions about anything. We have to know how much we don't know, and how much what we are doing and what we are thinking, and in a sense what we are.
Right. Okay. So I mean, again, so this is where I think you're looking at the back end of the elephant, and you're the one who just won't even concede that there's a front end to the elephant. So yeah, you're saying this is confusing. You're saying, how does this thing get anywhere in life? I mean, it's got this stupid little nosy thing in this hole, smelly hole. with then these big nutsack hanging down. I mean, what are you doing? You know, what are you describing as the problem here? Um, you know, because of what you're saying you're going to deny. And the simple truth is evolution has shown us the face of the elephant. Evolution has shown us to understand, you know, Darwin science has revealed much of the shape of this beast. And so now we can understand it because now we can see so much of it. And so you're just denying the fact that we know an awful lot. And we don't have to know exactly how many, you know, metric pounds all of its toenails weigh. We don't have to know a lot of the detail to know the basic picture of it. And for human beings, the basic picture is pretty clear. Okay, we're now educated chimpanzees. Okay, so we have a chimpanzee problem, right? We're not doing anything about the chimpanzee problem in nature, are we? We're not saying, oh, we got to find some future for these chimpanzees. They need to fly through space. They need to colonize Mars. Has anybody speculated, you know, that water buffalo need to colonize Mars or colonize some other the cosmos? That they need to go on a cosmic trip? Has anybody ever in the history of human beings sat there and said, "Oh, we got to do something about this"? Because, I mean, I think obviously you wouldn't sit there and cheat the organism out of the experience just because they can't do, you know, trigonometry. I mean, those mammals are doing everything we're doing. I mean, they're all living in the game and all this kind of crap. They'll do a lot better than you will at the experiment of, you know, going somewhere they don't understand, and they'll figure out how to make it work. I mean, they'll just jab their horns into something or bash at it until it looks like the world they're familiar with. So what are you talking about? There's nothing here, okay? We're dumb animals on a dumb planet.
Is based upon axioms, presuppositions, and self-imposed prejudices.
Oh, whatever. That's what you're going to call science. So again, so to understand, that's what this guy's calling science. All right, our understanding of evolution, our deduction of where all the evidence points. He's calling that a prejudice. And it's a prejudice against what? It's a prejudice against his fairy story. He has a fairy story, trust me. He says he's not a Buddhist. Well, he's some sort of motherfucking religious kook. Because that's the only reason why you would worry about this stuff or say this shit. Is that you think somehow the mission statement, we're going to fall short of God's mission statement. You know, because we're tending to realize we're just selfish animals in a puddle of scum.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever. So that wasn't. I thought that would be a lot more fun. So he called it the price of determinism. So the price of determinism is somehow, I don't know. Sorry, I didn't understand this video at all. Alright, so here we go. Yes, I don't mind determinists if they can admit, you don't mind rationalists, you mean, rational, logical people, if they can admit that what they have is a belief and not a certainty. Again, so how high does the evidence pile have to get? And what am I not allowed to be certain of? I'm not allowed to be certain that gods and fables and fairy godmothers and talking things that don't have brains is all fairy stories. I'm not allowed to be certain that as you get as you dissect the mechanics of the universe, the forces get simpler and dumber, not smarter and more enlightened and more clever. That there's no built-in intelligence in the system. I'm not allowed to be certain about that. Fuck you. But what many committed, closed-minded, hard determinists seem to be saying is, I can't imagine anything else, so there can't be anything else but determinism. Well, even that statement, if it's beyond imagination, serious imagination, in terms of a theme. I mean, obviously, if you're going to say I failed the imagination test because the actual fairy godmothers have beards, and I didn't realize they would have beards. because fairy godmothers are made differently, so the women fairy godmothers are actually men and the men are women, because it's different. What, I don't even want to do this. What looks like arrogance, naivete, or that which looks like arrogance, naivete, insincerity to me. So this is this twit for Uranus, from your Uranus, which you assholes all tolerate as this fucking asshole cunt. And he's basically calling you stupid if you deduct from evolution that we are essentially just scheming animals, and that we have now acquired a capacity to do a little better than that, but that the condition we exist in, the mechanism of evolution, has made us just to be pointlessly and eccentrically competitive, and to play a game, a competitive game. But no, if you draw a conclusion like that, this asshole can call you arrogant and all this other crap. So fuck you. Fuck you for tolerating this twit, fucker. But many committed, closed-minded, hard determinists seem to be saying is, I can't imagine anything else, so there can't be anything else but determinism. So he's quoting the other guy. I don't know why he did all that. I won't pretend to be a mind reader, but I get the distinct whiff of that sort of thing from most determinists as well. So again, we are supposed to pretend that Alice in Wonderland is reality, or some imaginary, fake, phony thing is real. We're not supposed to deduce logically what the range of probability is, or the range, or just like I said, we're not supposed to confine things to realistic possibility. So whatever. I mean, it's just, again, this is like a reasonable doubt logic test, or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, if these people are going to just say that anything you can imagine is somehow some sort of legitimate candidate for reality, no. But we can certainly deduce, and we do know where we came from, and that's the important subject here anyway. We might not know where all of matter came from, but we know where the fuck we came from. And we know the mechanism that created us was not intelligent or well-informed or any of that. It took it 4 billion years. It took it 4 billion years to say, Mommy. I mean, literally, 4 billion years to get to that point. Idiots. Anyway, the fact is, I feel compelled not to believing that there is an entity inside me unconditioned by the whole outside. It is the whole outside that creates this body and mind and conditions in it. It's true that this gives me not only a sense of certainty, but also a way to look into other people's deeds without condemnation. Many times it gives me sadness, but without seeing evil and culprits. P.S. Even if I didn't, I would agree you keep bringing one of my favorite YouTubers. Well, I'm glad I can't read that. Even if we don't agree, you keep being one of my favorite YouTubers. Oh, well, whatever. I don't know what that makes any sense, but great. So you like liars. Super. Whatever. I think there's an interesting mind game that we may all actually play upon ourselves. Well, you always say this we thing when you're about to talk about doing something really stupid and asinine, because that's the only way you could justify yourself as being stupid and asinine, is you have to say we are all assholes. No, you're an asshole, Anekantavad. Bad. Anyway, we're not really sure of anything. See again. So again, let's just take away our capacity to understand, so that way you stupid intellectuals won't sit there and force us, these theists, these God botherers, to deal with reality. Because they're going to want to just keep pretending. They want to keep playing their bullshit game. They want to keep wasting human suffering and animal suffering. They want to keep being gluttonous pigs. And the only way they can keep doing any of that is to keep their irrational perceptions of value. So they have to make value judgment irrelevant, and they have to make knowledge or understanding of our evolution irrelevant. But we act as though we are, and consistently tell ourselves that we are. So again, I'm not sure of anything. Yeah, that's right. And we sit there and do silly things like fly to the moon. How dare we? With our lack of certainty. How dare we do that? But anyway, but the more grounded individuals among us somehow continue to adhere. To be aware that they are essentially making a deal with their own minds. The more grounded individuals. I don't even know what that means. Mind. You keep acting like everything is normal, and I'll keep making sure you can get through the day. So yeah, that's right. I'll keep giving you your bacon for breakfast. Just don't let me understand what I'm doing. Yeah, that's your deal, fucker. Yeah, that's right. So keep making your deal. I'll keep imposing on others. I'll take what I want, and I'll excuse the waste and the pain that it costs because I'll pretend I'm not certain it exists. Yeah, fuck you, selfish nihilist pigs. Yeah, and it is an insult, by the way. Anekantavad. Yes, being called a nihilist is an insult. Now, you, as a nihilist, don't think so. But that's just like when you call somebody, like, say somebody who's a really good serial killer, and you say to his face, "You're the most evil motherfucker on earth." And they smile, because that's what they were trying to be. Yeah, so you really do suck. And I know that makes you happy to hear that you suck, because you're a psychotic, as I've stated. I might be a morbid anti-natalist, but you're one motherfucking psychotic, insane, stupid fuck. Yeah, okay, there, that's a fair trade. Psycho. Aka psycho Kanta. Kanta psycho. Nyla psycha. Well, I'll think of something later. Anyway, yes, it's important to understand the difference between intellectual idealism and practicality. Well, I don't think that's what he was talking about, but whatever. When you act in the world, be practical. When you're dealing with ideas, be idealistic. Well, now that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, be a phantasmagorical fairy story talker when you're talking about defining the truth. Yeah, that's just so fail, asshole. Homer and his conversations with his brain. For all his monumental stupidity, Homer Simpson is remarkably sane. That was a response to, Rosebushy. Okay, well, we have to go down to Rosebushy. Andy, have you read the book, The Master and His Emissary? It looks at this particular pathology in a very interesting light. In the context of a struggle for supremacy between the left and the right brain hemispheres, where the left hemisphere is the model maker, whatever. The conceptualizer, and conditions like schizophrenia are a case where it loses touch with reality grounded right hemisphere and loses itself in the internal world. Whatever. So that's what you call. So you don't think we can know enough about the model of the universe to draw the conclusion that it's a mechanical system. And yet, you're confident enough about what's happening inside our brain, not only about the fact of how the brains, the two hemispheres are communicating, but the exact nature of the conversation and the exact nature of a thing like schizophrenia, a condition like you called it. Schizophrenia is a collection of symptoms that have many causes. But whatever, you're an idiot. Rosebush is just an asshole. This reminds me of when I left the Rust Belt and moved to New York City alone in the early 1978 with $40 of cash and about $300 in the bank. In a bank check, which took 2 weeks to clear, knowing almost no one. I was 20. I was terrified. It caused me a lot of anxiety, and a lot of bad things did happen to me. Well, there you go. I would never, ever recommend anyone do that. Do what I did. I was in the very pit of hell. The city was almost bankrupt then, and it was really a jungle. Yeah, well, 78 wasn't that bad, actually. It was before Reagan, anyway. Um, I think that's why all kinds of applied philosophies, even the blatantly atheist and materialistic ones, insist on a powerful self-discipline prior to engaging in them. Discipline like what? What's the okay? He's responding to somebody else, so I have to find this somebody else's comment. Well, we'll just finish it since we started. If you're going to blast yourself into outer space, you better bring along some life support, or the new environment might kill you. Well, done. That's where do you get the knowledge of needing all that stuff? That's right, the science you're spitting on. Gravity and inertia might not be phenomenally real. Well, you say so. And there are places where their effects are radically different to what we're used to. Doesn't mean we can ignore gravity. Yeah, again, we flew to the moon. So yeah, we did it without practicing. So obviously our brain is pretty good at doing this stuff, and even though we're uncertain about some stuff, we're pretty good at saying, yeah, I think we got it. And we don't got it beyond all error, but we got it beyond enough errors. All right, and you can detail the evolution of matter in this world and the evolution of the human organism. You can detail it with maybe not 100% certainty that it happened exactly that way, but with secure certainty that happened something really close to that. So anyway, it's whatever. Like I said, this is just so bogus. Just let's always stay uncommitted. Let's never ever ever admit the truth about what we are and where we came from. We're not green slime. We're not all this stuff. You know, this is exactly the religious response. They don't want to hear their monkeys. And that's all this guy is saying. I don't like evolution. Evolution doesn't flatter me. You know, it's not telling me how wonderful and charming my personality is, and how marvelous I look in my shirts, and you know, no, it's not doing any of that. So yeah, I don't like evolution because it's not flattering. So you're just like the religious kook. Even though they don't believe in their God, they think their God is complete shit. They don't want to accept evolution because guess what? Evolution doesn't aggrandize them. It doesn't put them in a throne, you know, and make them kings of the world. Pretty transparent, I'd say. Pretty obvious. I'm pretty damn certain that's all you're doing. You're just running from the truth. And the only way you can run from it is to throw mud at it. That's all you're doing. That's it. That's all you. That's the only way you can avoid it's glaring at you, and you're just going to throw mud at it, so it can't look into your soul and make you realize what you are. So anyway, this was, like I said, I thought it'd be more fun. But whatever, still a stupid title. The Price of Determinism. Still a silly fucking title.